All right, you groovy grasshoppers. Thursday morning, 10 o'clock, throughout the multi-million universes. All right, we had a couple things to talk about today, some breakthroughs, the power of this show, the power of the pooper people. We'll wait for everybody to get on here before we start going to this breaking news. I sent a post out yesterday, a new toilet seat. So it's like they've been listening, people have been listening to our show and the concerns I've had and everybody else over this the poop situation, the toilet shape and the need for the brushes and the whole bit. And they've come up, Mimsy, what's happening, you magical creature? How are you? All right. So Mimsy's here, so we can talk. So Mimsy, I don't know if you saw it. I think I posted on Facebook. I know I posted it on Instagram, the toilet bowl seat on the bucket. So Ron Jameson, what's happening, brother? You magical veteran, you up there in beautiful Buffalo. So the toilet bowl seat. Again, the power of the pooping people, right? So we've been talking about this for months now. How it's a conspiracy here where they made this toilet bowl shape. Lorraine, how are you? Good to see you, magical creature. So they've in the past they basically have. Oh, Ira. So what they've basically done is they've admitted. So either a toilet bowl company has admitted, geez, we better get ahead of the game here because Laidlaw is pushing for this better toilet seat or toilet bowl. So now what they've done is they created, so you get a bucket with a plastic bag inside the bucket. And now you get the seat, this portable seat you can take on and off the bucket to sit on. So what it does is it eliminates the need for any plumbing. Think about the advantages of this. You can take your toilet anywhere with you, this bucket and the seat. There's no brushing of the bowl because it's just straight down bucket and they've got this plastic bag in it. So you poop in there, take the plastic bag and throw it away, just like having a dog. You're walking a dog, you have a little plastic bag, you pick up the poop and throw it in the garbage. Imagine this. You can do it outside if you wanted to. So I can take it out of the back deck. So if I'm sitting out there having a cocktail, we don't have to go inside or like that. Don't have to risk, bugs getting in the house. All the advantages of this. This is outstanding for camping. Oh man, have your own toilet seat. And I guess you could even have like multiple seats, right? You could have like a seat for everybody in the house if you wanted to, like custom seats. Well, bet so you don't have to sit on somebody else's, poop and all that. Let me see here. What does Ira do here? I keep a 40 rounds, big gulp car in my pee only. Yes. It's a breakthrough. And I saw it. It's like, this is meant to be. They're watching the show. People are watching the show so much. We're making social change. We're making change in the plumbing. Think about the plumbing industry. The plumbers aren't going to like it because there's less work for them to do. But homeowners, like all the money you save. Man. Cited for poop in public. Man, yeah, you get your own toilet. You go to concerts and everything, have your own toilet. Think of a porta potty business, right? You can still have a big like a room that you'd have. You just bring your own toilet if you wanted to. Breakthrough. All right, we'll get back to that as more people get the show. Now, one of the big things here that is really, I think people have missed, except for us here at the show, the polygamy situation there in Salt Lake City. So I've gone and done my research. I've taken the Arizona Coyotes roster from this past season. Obviously, we don't know if all those players are going to be on with the team. Well, yeah, it must be probably different sizes of seats for buckets and everything like that. Because that would be. We worked away. The bucket would go up. God, she's right. No, that's not true. That wouldn't happen like that. All right, so we've looked at the roster from the Arizona Coyotes. Again, what we got here? What do we got going here? Only problem with that word is one wash hands. Yeah. Well, I see. I'm not big on washing the hands. I think that's overrated. I mean, I guess you can still have if you're in public, yeah. But if you still have in your bathroom, you can still have a sink and everything. You just wouldn't have like a flushing toilet. Think about that. Man, you think about the joy for your spouse too. You wouldn't have to wake them up in the morning or in the middle of the night. You have to go just pee away. And you can you save it. Probably find a way to seal it off. So in the morning, you wouldn't have to take it out until the morning. Oh, man, people are thinking out here. I have an immune system. Yes. No. I think the whole washing hands thing is way overrated. I mean, listen, if you get poop on your hand, then obviously you got to wash it, or pee in your hand. But if you're just going to the bathroom and you're not touching any poop, pee, what's the big deal? Okay. Arizona Coyotes. Who's going to be a polygamist? So based on I just get a feel. You're looking at it. You're kind of looking at the pictures. This guy by the name of Lawson Crouse. Never watched him play, but to me, he looks like a guy, a church-going man, which is fine. So he's going to really buy into that whole the Mormon theory about having multiple wives. So I see Lawson Crouse. The other guy I get a good feel about is there's a couple of guys. It's Liam O'Brien. For some reason, gives me the sense that he's a polygamist. So just everybody knows, I think it's just like a couple of years ago, they passed a law that is now legal. Polygamy is now legal. And there's different terms too for a woman who's a polygamist. And this is a theory. This is a theory, Ira, that based on my history too, being divorced twice. It's odd that I'm making this determination, but maybe that's the secret. Maybe you have, that you're not just looking at one person all the time and, going, oh my God, it's enough of you. You have multiple wives. Spread it around. So the two I have are Lawson Crouse, Liam O'Brien, maybe JJ Moser, but just based on looks. Those are the guys. Oh, possibly this Barrett Hayton too. Yeah, so there's 4 guys there that are potential. Now, again, like we discussed, and then so they get these 4 wives or 7 wives, whatever number they have, and then they get traded to, let's say, New York. So now they keep their 7 wives in Salt Lake City, bring one in at a time. This is brilliant. And then, there's no cheating or anything like that, because why would you cheat? You've already got 7 wives. You don't need to go cheat. And the women, we feel comfortable. I think it's a brilliant idea for marriages, for the National Hockey League. Yeah, guys are getting divorced all the time this way. Well, there's a few hiccups, though. I mean, I don't know how that all works, where you get married to one. Recipe to those players referees that passed within the past weeks. Yes, we have lost some guys. Ron Ellis. Who else, Ron? So again, we got to figure out, how does this all work? So you get a wife, then when you go date other people, until there's going to be some method there where you can't just go cheating on you. You have to have another wife. You can't just have. But again, you can't just. What do? Go to the grocery store and grab one and say, "Okay, you want to be my wife?" You got to go on dates, get to know each other, I'm assuming. All right, Rangers game tonight. What's the message to the Rangers tonight? One shift at a time. Well, that's the message every game, but particularly tonight. So, to me, the first 3 games, the big 4, Panarin, Trocheck, Zibanejad, and Kreider were unbelievable. The speed they play with, Kreider crushing people. The power play was unbelievable. Last 2 games, they have not been as good. Now, part of that has to go to the Carolina Hurricanes. They've made some adjustments. So it's... those big 4 guys have to go. It's not some secret or anything like that. Everybody else has to do their job, but those guys have to create a lot of opportunities in power play, score some goals, really pressure Carolina's penalty killing. Shesterkin obviously has to be Shesterkin. That's would be the story every game for them. And he has been. Maybe the last game he wasn't as good, but he has been all world, and he has to continue to be all world. So I'm going to go for like a 2-1 game for the Rangers. Again, they are on the road, so the advantage for the home team is that they get to change last. So they're going to have to really. The one thing is then. So sometimes that's overrated, because they should be practicing that. Okay, if Lavalette doesn't have the matchup on the ice that he wants, come time to drop the puck, the players on the ice for the Rangers need to know. Okay, we need to change. You can't just abandon the play, but when the opportunity comes as quickly as possible, change so you can get the matchup you want. Now, again, that Carolina's going to do the same thing, though. They're well coached, and they're going to know, okay, well, if they change again, then we need to have another change. So there's going to be that game. But you can't, as a team, you can't get too wrapped up in those situations, because you get away from playing the game. You got to play the game, but be aware. Okay, if there's some matchup that coaches really wants it or wants to stay away from it, everybody needs to be aware of that. So, but these are 2 well coached teams, so they'll figure that out. Fox has to be hurt. Looks like Lena. He's not that fast. What are you talking about? Yeah, he's a great player, obviously. The one thing I would like to see him do more is like be maybe a little more of a Brian Leetch kind of player, but he is what he is. Like Brian Leetch was like get up and go kind of guy, end-to-end rushes and everything. Happy birthday to the Rangers. I didn't realize this, Ron. Thank you very much for pointing this out. Happy birthday, Rangers. 1926. the state grand franchise. Oh, wow. Very cool. I met the granddaughter of, was it Tex Ritter, the first owner of the team, an event a couple years ago. Very cool. That's why they call it the Rangers, because he was a Texas guy, Texas Rangers. Okay, so we've got our breakthrough. Just in case we've got new people joining the show here, I want to make sure everybody knows of the power of this show, the power of the pooping people here on this show. PPP, power of the pooping people. They've created this new toilet seat that goes on top of a bucket with plastic bags and everything. So they fix that problem. No need for plumbing for a toilet. No need for a brush. Think of all the things we saved, man. Minimalizing. Kale McCarr is unbelievable. Yeah, love his game. Yep, he's just like him and Nathan McKinnon. You watch those two guys play. They were just bulls too. They skate the same way. They get that low stance, powerful. And their power play is something to watch too, because they're always moving. Just like with the Rangers. When the Rangers have a good power play, it isn't just the puck moving, it's the people that are moving as well. Okay, yeah, we have to bring up Tracy. We're 11 minutes into the show. So again, it's between that 15 and 20 minute mark where she typically shows up. She tries to, play that, game that she's better than we are. Maybe it's because she's on one side of the mansion that she's got there in Long Island, and excuse me, and she has to walk all the way to the other side. It takes a little bit longer, like 15, 20 minutes to go from side to side. So that could be it as well. She's pooping on one side of the mansion and then remembers, the show's on at 10 o'clock, so now I have to walk 15, 20 minutes to get to the other side where the computer is. But again, that's why for her, if she now has that portable toilet, that would not have to happen. She could get on to start the show and show some respect for everybody else. But we'll see about that. All right, so we've got our list of guys that we think are going to be the polygamists in Salt Lake City next year. We've got Lawson Krause. We've got Barrett Hayton. We've got Liam O'Brien. And we've got J.J. Moser. I don't know, but look at that J.J., though. It looks like no, it's terrible. You know what? I got bad at it, too. Like sometimes, athletes, particularly hockey players, get stereotyped, big dumb jocks. And we had on Ryan Vanderbush. We recorded a show with Full Change Podcast that you can watch on all, or listen to me, you can listen on all podcast platforms. Please like, share, and comment, particularly on Apple if you can for us. And if you watch his old tapes, man, he was saying he fought like over 40 times a year in juniors or minors, whatever. He's fighting like every second day or every third day. And so I just had this view of this rockhead guy, and he was funny, at first we're talking. Then he got into talking about his life after the game and how he's got his own cannabis company up in Canada he's growing. And selling psilocybins and everything. And he was very educated about it. Very similar to Riley Cote. They've spoken. So they're really educated about the benefits. It's all natural stuff. And again, he's taking it to a different level by actually starting his own company, Ryan Vanderbush is. And he talked about how important it was for him and his health, concussions he suffered from. He's also in the real estate business. So it was really, I actually talked and I laughed at him because I was stereotyping Ryan. And I don't like when people do that with me, but that's part parcel. But so those guys start talking about their businesses and everything, you really see they're not a bunch of rock piles, despite how they played the game. It's interesting. Two real tough guys, and Riley Cote and Ryan Vanderbush. Like really, they've taken like I like is they've broken away from hockey. Not that they still don't love the game, appreciate it. All the game's done for them, but they've broken away and done something entirely different. Educated themselves about another subject matter and another career, and really taking it to a level where it's their business, it's their passion. So. Great. He was really, I told him after, I said, let's keep in touch. I love people like that do this kind of stuff. One of the Rangers rolling a secret weapon. Yeah, that will not be happening. No, they're good. I saw someplace with how many wives would you have? Yeah, that's a great question, right? Like, is my divorce because it was just one wife and she had to be stuck with me all the time? Or would it be an advantage to have like 7 wives and then you're not just stuck with one person all the time? Get sick of them, right? That'd be interesting. I'd like to see how that works. Although I'm doing some reading too. There's some bad stories about that subject, the abuse and everything, but I guess that can happen in any relationship. But it seems like it's fairly prevalent in that. I don't know the whole dynamic there too. Are the wives very submissive to the men? You kind of get the feeling from reading those articles that that's the case. But again, there's other cultures that are like that too. They don't have to be polygamous. To be like that, submissive. Submissive. Now that's an interesting topic when you talk about men and women, right? So submissive to me means, in my terms, it's, the man is the man. He walks on the street side of the sidewalk. He opens the doors. He puts the coat on. He protects his woman, respects his woman. And again, the key is that he's not doing it because she can't do it. He's doing it because he loves her and cares about her so much. So that's funny. Because sometimes when you say the word submissive to a woman, they're like, oh, yeah, it's not like you're saying to the woman, you can't do it. I'm doing it for you because I care about you. So this is a whole other topic. Again, that's what the term is, submissive. Oh, okay. Let's get on another one here too. So I posted the video of me pitching there, the first pitch. And I had some real negative comments. This one guy, I had to block him. He was like, it's embarrassing, So here's how I feel about that stuff. And I'm not saying this for me, I'm saying this for everybody else, the lesson learned. So to me, it's not embarrassing at all. So like on a Friday night, instead of sitting in a bar someplace or sitting on the couch eating hot dogs, I'm in Staten Island, with a beautiful view of Manhattan, and throwing out the first pitch. There's no rules. There's no umpire. There's no batter. There's no rule that says you have to pitch a certain way. Throwing out the first pitch. It was a blast to me. It was a great adventure. I'm not, obviously, if I was embarrassed, I wouldn't have posted it. I was the one that posted it. So yeah, I think it's that whole, you got to look at things differently, guys. Go ahead and try things. If it doesn't always work out exactly perfect, doesn't mean that you shouldn't have done it. It means, okay, it was a blast, still a blast. I had a great time. It was one of those things I'd never done before, and I always seen people do it, and it was cool. I mean, listen, I would rather throw a strike, but it didn't change my world too much because I had a double bouncer. It was a double bouncer, clearly. And again, the catcher was pretty cool too. He tried to frame it, like pull it into the middle of like make it look like it was a strike, but he couldn't sell it. It was too far gone. I did tell him, I said, listen, I'm trying to keep the ball away from the middle of the plate. I certainly did that. There's no question there. They gave us Wayne Gretzky there some Monday night. We went late on Melody with their highlight packages. Welcome back, former Rangers, Tom and Larry. Actually, we will. They have a viewing party at Madison Square Garden tonight that I will be attending. I don't think they've done that before at MSG. I guess that's what's going on because they've got us going in there. They called it that. They called it a watch party. So we'll do more stuff before the game. I'll probably head out of there and get back and watch the third period at home. But it'll be a blast going to Garden for a viewing party. Again, I've never done that. We had viewing parties before, like Central Park, and, bars or restaurants and that. But first time at the Garden, so that'll be fun. That'd be cool. I hope they get the place packed. That'd be cool to have 18,000 people in there for watching the game. But we will see. Is this true? Is this accurate? Revenue goes to Garden Dreams. Yeah, cool. I hope it does. Yeah. That'd be cool to have a Garden packed for a viewing party and go nuts there and score a goal or something. Oh, did they? Okay. They did viewing parties in 94.5. Oh, very cool. Very cool. I'll be riding in with Mr. Ron Greshner himself. I don't know who else is attending. I'm assuming it's kind of the same guys like Stefan Matteau, Brian Mullen, maybe Adam Graves if he's in town. I don't know how many guys are going to be there tonight, but it'll be a blast. That's the Square Garden. I haven't been to the Garden very much this year at all. But they did all right without me, apparently. What do we got going on? Where's Susan Brooks? Jeez. Susan's not here. Deb Anderson's not here. I'm glad these rest of you are here, but it's just like, well, just people. Maybe it's too rainy or whatever. Terrible news too. The Yukon Denali. So I'm trying to get take care of it and get a full usage of it. I get like 130,000 miles on it. And there's a thing a while ago with my transmission where it was making this noise. It would go away, then it would come back, and I hadn't done it in months. And all of a sudden, I was driving up to Staten Island to start doing it again, but then it stopped. And this morning, I was like, oh, it sounds like I may need a new transmission. So let me see. Yeah, looking forward to tonight at the Garden. Are you going, Keith? Very cool. Very cool. Let's make sure we hook up here. I'd love to meet you. At least in person. We've met online. So let's start a GoFundMe for get Tom a new car. No, we don't want to get a new car. We want a lot. I've done that. I said, just this whole journey, the True Grit Life journey, that go back to being more like my father and grandfather. They just took care of everything and it lasted forever. Again, it's got a new engine. It's got a new engine in it too, and that's got a 3-year warranty on it. 3-year, 100,000-mile warranty on the new engine. So it's like a new car almost. Maybe we'll see if we'll sell it. Let me see here. Yes, sir. Me and the family are headed back. Very cool. All right, let's make sure we hook up. I will make sure you have my phone number. I can come by and see you guys. Let me know where you're sitting. Okay, let me see. What I've seen the players are as pissed off as the fans when they lose. It's always the usual cliches given to the media. You can say whatever. But remember, so hockey players are famous for this. The stuff they say to the media isn't necessarily what's going on behind the scenes. It's like, for example, in Toronto, when they had Marner, Matthews, and Nylander, yapping at each other on the bench, that's a bad sign. That's not what hockey players do. You do that. There's plenty of times where guys are screaming at each other in the locker room, but you don't do that in public. You put on a united front, show you're together, you're fine. But again, Messi would, but he would have done it in the locker rooms. I rarely saw guys, I can't remember many times where guys are yapping at each other like that on the bench. That's a real bad sign. So let me see here. All right, my old college roommate, John Junior Kyle. Baseball's not the Canadian pastime. Probably not a lot of free time practice. That's right. There you go, Junior. Thank you, brother. Yes, exactly. That's exactly how I look at it. Yeah, look at it positive, guys. It's a great option. Like, whatever you're doing, don't worry about being perfect at it. Just go for it and do it. So when I danced in front of 18,000 people at Madison Square Garden, that was awful. But wow, what a blast that was. I show that video all the time. It's like, have the opportunity to do stuff like that. John's actually in the process of making his own beehives. He's got his own beehives. He actually sent me some honey that he had made, raw, unfiltered honey. John Kyle, you could contact him here on Facebook if you want to get some of his honey. Excellent stuff, real healthy and everything too. So, again, here's the thing. It kind of looks negative now because you're up 3-0, and now you're up 3-2. So you can say, okay, but the reality is, if you just looked at that, if you hadn't seen what happened the first 5 games, you go, okay, this is pretty positive. We're one game away from winning the series. So again, it's how you look at it. It's a perception. So they're fine. I mean, they know that they can win. I mean, that's a good thing. They know they can win close games. They did that in the first 3 games. So it's again, it's really perception. It's more saying, okay, guys, we're fine. We're not happy that we lost these last 2 games, especially that 5th one, the way they lost. But that's whether you lose by 1 goal or 4 goals or 3 goals, whatever it is, it's still a loss. Same thing if we win, and that's the thing. So if you're winning, you have to have a short memory. And if you're losing, you have to have a short memory. Like yapping and complaining and whining about stuff to each other, there's nothing good. That's like the whole Toronto thing when those guys on the bench, then Marner throwing his gloves like a little baby. I don't like that team at all. You know who I don't like too is the Boston coach, Jim Montgomery. What a freak he is. Like, he was doing this diving thing behind the bench. Like, it's a big show he's putting on. It's all about Jim Montgomery. He lost the game, and he's got, it's on me. It's on me. I did it. That bothers me when a coach says that. It's not on you. It's not on you when they win. It's not on you when they lose. Like, by him saying that, it's on me that we lost. No, okay, so is it on? You're saying that it's on you when you win? No, the players play. He's got, like, again, this whole dive, putting on an act behind the bench. Jeez, if I'm a player and he's doing that, it's embarrassing. Yeah. And he shouldn't have let Pastrnak go and fight Tkachuk either. That's another thing. And letting Pastrnak fight, like you see it on the bench where Pastrnak saying to him, I'm going to go fight him. And Montgomery's going, okay. No, you don't. You let Pastrnak go out there and make sure that he says, listen, I'm not fighting you. But then have somebody else out there that steps up. The rest of the players should have stepped up and said, no, you're not going out there and fighting him. That's ridiculous. Like they don't ask, like, if I was on the team, I would say, you don't ask me to score goals. I'm not asking you to fight. That's not your job. What if he breaks his hand or something? And there's no advantage to Pastrnak whatsoever to go fight Tkachuk. So that I don't like Montgomery at all. I think he's really starting to lose it for me. Too much of a show, the Jim Montgomery show. Pastrnak should not be fighting, and they should have made sure that Tkachuk knew that Pastrnak was willing to fight him, but the rest of the team and the coaching staff said, no, you're not fighting him. There's no advantage whatsoever. Like I said, if I'm on, that's be something like my job to go out and fight him. And and then the same thing is like, it's like, Pastor, you don't ask me to score goals. I'm not going to ask you to fight. That's not your job. Wayne Gretzky, I think, was famous for it, and maybe he just said it, but the hitters have to hit, scorers have to score, fighters have to fight, goaltenders have to stop the shots. And Pasternak's job is not to fight at all. That was a bad sign for me from Montgomery. He should just handle that differently. I don't like that at all. Let me see if Rangers blow this. Do you see Dolan going berserk? Nope. No, not at all. There's no reason to. You won the President's Trophy. If they do lose, you lose them to one of the top two. Like, they could have won the President's Trophy, Carolina. But again, you can't have that attitude. It's got to be, we're going to win. And you can't have the attitude that, well, we really just need to win one game out of two. You got to win tonight. If you don't win, okay, obviously you do have another game, but you can't go into the game thinking, okay, we have another opportunity. But no, I wouldn't, like, if I looked at the organization too, like, look at a guy like Hedl, for example. Hopefully he can get back and play, but that's a great player, a great young player. You didn't even have in the lineup this year. You still had the season you had. You've got Igor Shesterkin. You look at all the great things that the guys did this year. So now, if I look at that team, I'm saying, no, this team could win the Stanley Cup. Now, if they don't win the Cup, it's not because they're a bad team. It's because there's other good teams in the league as well. Look at Colorado over there. I think they're a fantastic team. They're just hanging in there against Dallas. Dallas is a fantastic team, too. I think Vegas is a great team. They got beat out in the first round. So, let's see what we got here. It's good to have hockey. Bad shift here. Get to yep. No kidding. That's why you have a short memory. What's more games my head? And it's so funny. I know I've talked about this before, but man, I made a lot of mistakes. But I think I just was so used to making mistakes that I just powered through it. I told a story a few times where I'm trying to pass the Dukes, and like he's 10 feet away from me. The puck, like a grenade, it blows up on me. But I watched myself play. As soon as it blew up, I didn't stop. I just went and ran over Larry Murphy, who got the puck, and Steve Vickers got a great scoring opportunity. It looks like this great play. It wasn't a great play. It was just like, I had learned just, and that's life too. My life's like that. I learned that more about writing the book and, getting to know myself better over these last few years on this journey with True Grit Life. And I realized, that's why I make throwing the ball out. I'm just so used to screwing things up like that. It doesn't matter. What's changed my life because the ball bounced? Yeah, same thing. If I make a bad pass, doesn't mean I'm a bad player. I mean, a bad pass. I just power through it. So I just recommend to everybody in their life that they just look, if they get opportunities, go take the opportunities. Don't worry about the mistakes. But don't look at the things and say, well, I don't know if I can do that. Well, look at the things you know you can do. And then you'll figure out the other things. You'll power through it. It makes me laugh sometimes when I do watch myself play because I'd like falling down and bad passes, whatever. But they kept playing me because I guess I kept powering through it. It wasn't, I watch guys like Gresh, like when he was playing, man, smooth, Dave Maloney, they stick handing through people and that, and smooth, and look at me, puck was square when I got done with it. But that's who it was. Somebody said that to me one time too when I was making a presentation, and they meant this in a very good way. Because I speak, it's like I speak the same way. I make mistakes sometimes, and I power through it, and they say, yeah, you're rough. It's just like I'm not that. I see some guys speak, they're smooth and elegant, and all that kind of stuff. I guess I'm okay, but not like some people. It's just if you get the full sweat going, get the pits are all foamed up. I don't mean to do more, but at least I hear you. I hear you, Peter. No, I see hockey players try not to do that. They show the emotion behind the scenes. Like if a guy goes out, like Jim, that's like Jim Montgomery putting on the show behind the bench, pretending he's diving, and then these press conferences are like, oh, it's all me, really dramatic and all that kind of stuff. No, that's not the way you do it. I hate to say it, but that's like they talk about marketing hockey players, and they say the league needs to do a better job. No, the league's doing a fantastic job. Hockey players, they don't want, like most guys don't want to have that. They don't want to be sitting in the locker room, guys looking at them like it looks like it's all about them. PK Subban's a great example. He's fantastic on TV. And obviously he prepared for his career after while he was playing, which he's entitled to do. But again, like if I was playing with him, I'd, PK, you're a Norris Trophy winner. You're on my team. You could help us win a Stanley Cup if you play the way you can. So concentrate on winning the Stanley Cup. But he didn't. He concentrated on preparing himself for after hockey. Again, smart move now. He's brilliant, but that's not the hockey way. It's, yes, you can do stuff behind the scenes. Like Dave Maloney, I talk about him all the time. He was, during the summer, he was working on Wall Street, preparing himself. So when the time came for him to retire, he stepped right into a job. In fact, I think he still had a couple of years left in his contract, just didn't want to play anymore. He's up there in Buffalo. He was a Ranger, and that's where he played his career. So he just quit and went into and did brilliantly in the business world. So you can do that kind of stuff. But the stuff that PK Subban was doing, like all the slew footing at the end and the showboating on the ice, and penalty, it's all about him all the time. Again, you can look and say, well, Tom, he knew what he's doing. Well, he did, but that's not, to me, again, if I was a teammate, he was so good that I would wish like concentrate on winning. I want to win. And you can help us win, but yeah. Gretzky said that fighting like is fake. Yeah, yeah. No, they're not fake, especially back then, like the 70s, 80s, 90s. Like they talk about the code sometimes, uh, like Kachuk hit Pasternak when he was down. There's no code fighting. So what's some of those old fights? Some stuff the guys were doing to each other. I mean, guys, like there's times where guys have a bad shoulder or something like that. And he'd say the guy's fighting. He says, my shoulder's out. The guy would stop. Sometimes he wouldn't stop, though. I mean, there's times I had players trying to gouge my eyes out. Dale Hunter tried to bit me in the cheek. So there was no code. I hear that sometimes. Seems to me that it's ruining the rugby effect by hindering from fighting. Positive ripple effect is the building gets pumped up, rub off the players by pounding to them. Yeah, that's a tough one. I hear you. Typically, like if you go back to like the Islanders, Edmonton Oilers when they had their long runs, like they had some tough guys, but they wouldn't fight. Now, if a game got out of hand one way or the other, they would. But if it was a close game, they just wouldn't fight. You could try to get them into a fight, and they wouldn't. There's the risk that you take an extra penalty. They wouldn't do anything to hurt the team's chances of winning. So I hear you with the Rempe effect with the fighting. I don't know if players today, especially, get that fired up because a guy fights. Now, way back when, a fighter, if the team was down or whatever, especially if they were at home, he would go out and get into a fight to try to get his teammates into the game. And again, we were different players back then, right? It's not better or worse, just different players. That was our job then to react. Like he was doing his job, then we had to make sure that we picked up the pace. I don't know if that's as much the game now. That's not a criticism of the players. It's just fighting is just a whole different thing now. There was a purpose to fighting back then. And there's not as much of a purpose now. It's more, I hate saying it's not Rempe's fault. It's more, okay, Rempe's going out and making a name for himself. I don't know if it really helps the team that much, but yeah. Did you play with Rexy? We're saying, oh yeah, what a great guy too, great teammate. First training camp was in Finland. That was my second year, as his first year. And Herb Brooks was there. He had this drill where we skated around, we moved the nets up a little bit, and they had to skate around 3 times in 45 seconds. So we're all a bunch of dummies and everything. We're like, kind of cut real close around the net, thinking it's going to be quicker. Rexy gets out there, and it's smooth. He just goes wide around. He's always striding through the corners and everything. He didn't actually lap us, but he came pretty close to lapping us. He was so much faster. We learned from him, then we learned to do more with hit, but we still weren't going to be skaters like he was. And he could shoot the one-timer. Like not everybody shot the one-timer back then, like shooting off the pass. Not only could he shoot it, but he was accurate with it too, just like he was making the shot. He was a great player, great guy too. Really quiet. I think it was like first couple of months he hardly talked at all. And then we went out for a few cocktails and had some vodkas, I think, some Finnish vodka. And all of a sudden he's babbling away. It's like, yeah. Again, I want to be careful too, because I think actually PK is great for the game now. He's colorful there. You want to watch him to see what he's going to say. He's controversial. And that's what they want. You don't want just standard old guys. That's like Mark Messier is obviously such a well-respected person and player, but he's not like that. That's typical of, like, if you want to try to market Mark Messier, well, it's hard to do because he's so stoic and doesn't want to say, he doesn't want to pick on his team. That's the thing with Wayne Gretzky. Apparently he didn't want to do TV for a while because he didn't want to criticize other people, other players. And that's him. He's like that. Didn't matter who it was. He didn't criticize guys on other teams, certainly or his own teammates, and he still doesn't want that. He wants to be held above that. So you should interview Avery. You know what? I wouldn't mind. I hear some stories though where some of the stuff's gone public too, where he's like out on the street and yelling at people because they get their shirt off, whatever, like biking in Manhattan. He's opinionated. I just didn't like. I'd have to be careful with that one. Just want to. Do teams hate each other teams today, like did the 70s and 80s, like the Rangers love? We're talking about saying, hey, Philly, yeah. No, that's gone from the game. I mean, yeah, that hatred thing. Yeah, like if you go back and look at the old Islander Ranger games, Islander Flyer games, Rangers or Islanders Flyers, Rangers Flyers. Yeah, it was legitimately hate. It wasn't just like we hated them because, but except I should be careful. I certainly didn't. I didn't hate the Islanders. I probably more respected them. And I think sometimes probably too much, especially my first year in the league when we played him in the semifinals. I think me personally, I won't speak for the other players. I think I had way too much respect for him. I felt like we could win, but I was just like, man, that's the Islanders. They just won the Stanley Cup. That as time went on, because we continued to play them every year in the playoffs. As time went on, that faded. Like especially that night, 84 team. Oh man, we got to the point where we really felt like we were as good as them and should have won that series, and we should have. There's no question. Clark Gillies said it too, that we probably should have won that, but they just always found. That's the thing about them. They always found a way to win, and they did. So. What is the reason for the players get tossed? So there's a certain way they're supposed to put their stick down and be square to the dot. Like you can't be turning your body anything like that. And it's kind of sometimes the guy keeps doing it. If you just do it once, if you're not lining up square, a linesman will give you an opportunity. Like you say, hey, line up properly. And if you don't do it, then they're going to toss you out. And there's other things too. I think they get a penalty now. If they try to use their glove, like sometimes guys would reach down and use their glove or their skate. So that's kind of limited. They really made it more. There's a lot of stuff going on in the past. Like in the past, there was no rules really. You just got in there and did whatever you wanted to do, and then eventually created more rules. So it's and again, I think it depends on the player too. If he's again doing it all the time, then the linesman's going to say, "Listen, I'm not giving you more chances." Like there's a lot of communication going on there. Excuse me. Like the one player may say, "Hey, he's cheating," and then the linesman's either going to agree or not agree and say something to the player. And again, if you do it all the time, they're much more quick to throw you out of the face-off circle. You watch Mike Allison play in these old games; he was always getting thrown out. Like, and I mean that's good. Like you try to get away with what you can get away with to get that upper hand and win the face-off. Mike Allison, oh, man, we did a podcast with Eddie Johnstone too. Old Eddie Johnstone, they played with. What a good guy he was. Great teammate, Siggy. I said to him at the end too. He got kind of. I don't know if emotional, but kind of fired up where I said to him, yeah, just being honest with him, he was one of the best teammates I ever had. I wasn't, and it's funny. We had a great conversation too, because I'd always wondered what happened to him when he went to Detroit. He got traded to Detroit and then got sent to the minors and finished his career in the minors. And he was an all-star here in New York. So, he told the story how he got hit in the face with a puck, and then they had to put some plastic inside his face. It's funny because he said, his front teeth are all out, so he just take the plate out. And the fake teeth, they go in that way. They had more room to go in and put that plastic in. And he lost a bunch of weight, couldn't see properly. And Nick Polano was a coach, and he kind of forced him to go back and forced him to go back and play before he was ready. And then he said to us, "I'm just not ready." So his game then, he couldn't see totally, but eventually that got better. But then he lost a bunch of weight, didn't have any energy, and Polano then sent him to the minors. And Eddie said in the interview too that he told him, he said, "Listen, I shouldn't have played." And he said he told Polano at that point he'd never play for him again. And Polano got fired. And I think Eddie said like he never even bothered to go to training camp with the Red Wings after that. He just went right down to the minors. Like he was just because Eddie's that loyal guy. He was like really loyal to his team. Like he'd do anything for his teammates on the ice or off the ice. At parties at his house, the way he played the game. So somebody didn't treat him properly. What does JD do? I haven't heard. Isn't he still in Columbus? Somebody brought that up the other day too, and I hadn't heard. I don't think he got fired in Columbus. So he was in Columbus before, came to the Rangers, obviously got fired, and then went right back to Columbus. And as far as I know, he's still there. But I haven't talked to him in a while. He's a great guy too. I really admire JD a lot because he. So obviously everybody knows he had the great broadcasting career once he got done playing, and to me was probably the best color commentator maybe of all time in hockey, certainly at the time that he did it. And so when I was retired from playing, I'd started my agent business and I was doing broadcasting. So I talked to JD a lot, and he was great. He, I think it was really a respect thing that he thought, well, I respected him that much that I came to him. And he talked about how he had, he's very proud of his career as a player, but really didn't think he got as much out of it as he wanted to. And he wasn't going to let that happen again to his broadcasting career. So he went and bought, long before other people did, he went and bought one of those big satellite dishes so he could watch all the games at home. So when the team was coming in to play the Rangers, he was totally prepared. He had notes. He talked to a bunch of people around the league about what's going on with that team, go to the morning skate. The theory being that, not every game's a great game. And so instead of just, have the broadcast be based on the pace of the game, JD always had stuff to talk about. Very really insightful stuff. Like I remember one game listening to him talk about how he kept track of when every guy got on the ice, like because then he can say, okay, every player is now got on the ice. Like most broadcasters don't do that kind of stuff. It's really intriguing stuff to keep the viewer interested, like really more into the game. And he's a great speaker. Again, really prepared. And we had Sam Rosen on, and Sam even talked about how when JD first when he went up to Western Canada and worked for Hockey Night in Canada, and then he came back to the Rangers and worked with Sam. And Sam saw JD's work ethic, what he put into it. It really pushed him to go to another level as well. And Sam's a total professional guy. It was interesting hearing him say that. And it was pure work ethic and preparation. So that was great for me, even though I didn't continue on the broadcasting. Yeah, really that stuff hung with me in the agent business as well, where I didn't want to be, again, so proud of my career and everything, but I didn't want to be just good at something. I wanted to be great. I never forget the first draft you went to. Again, when you go as an agent, if you've got guys that project to be first round draft picks, you're right down by the floor. And you go up further, it means I didn't have any players. So they had me literally up in the last row with my head on the rafters. Was it Quebec or Montreal? I can't remember where it was. And I was hot. That guy was so, like, the old player was coming out at me. I'll never let this happen again. I'm going to be down on that floor. And it was great for me because it really got me fired up to go there and be treated like, here I am, a former NHL player. I'm sitting on the last row and the pride's kicking in and everything. Because I think it was like 4 or 5 years after that, I had a first round draft pick. So I remember sitting there thinking, dude, this is cool, because, going, it was great for me to go to the point where I didn't have any first round picks, get to, like, that anger, that fuel for the fire, and then be down. And it was a pretty good journey. And I really thought a lot about JD because he really, again, it was a different career, but it's the same logic. Don't be, you can control your work ethic, control how much you know. So I sunk myself in a collective bargaining agreement. I recruited a lot. I really, took pride in, this is my brand, this is my business. So I dressed properly. I was, on time for meetings and get out there recruiting, doing the extra stuff. So, yeah, I think Mass has got I think he's a little bitter, and this is just me speculating. I think he's a little bitter towards the Rangers back when they were looking for a new coach. I think it was they're firing Trache, I think. The story is anyways, that he got asked to throw his hat in the ring. And then they came out publicly and said that he wasn't qualified, something like that. And he's a proud man. So, JD is back with the club. I knew he had gone back. I didn't know. I couldn't remember somebody got fired. I knew they fired the general manager there, like Karkalainen or whatever his name was. But JD's a good man. He's really, he's like a great spokesperson for a team, a great communicator. I had a good talk with him when he got fired here. And he wasn't bitter. I mean, he did agree with it, obviously. He's got a lot of pride in himself, but he wasn't bitter. I mean, part of it is he's making $5 million a year. So I'm sure he knew that he could go back to Columbus anytime he wanted to. So good hockey guy. There's some former players that had gotten, I don't know, bitter, but kind of were upset with JD because he didn't hire any of his buddies. He can't. It's a smart move by JD. As much as it's nice to help your friends, but he wanted to be successful as a president of an NHL hockey team. And you don't hire your friends. It's a bad look. You hire people that are qualified. Now, if you have a great friend that's one of the best in the business, as a scout or whatever, then sure. But because the problem comes is there some kind of favoritism going on with your friends? And JD's a professional. He knows all that stuff, and he knew that people would be upset with him. But that's the business. You can't go ahead and hire friends just because you're friends. A former Ranger like yourself. Yeah, I would love to do TV, the Sam stuff. Yeah, just never, I get so wrapped up in the agent business, and that went so well. I'm doing all this stuff now. So I'm still using my big mouth. Bob Borgen is a producer at Prime Ticket. The Prime Ticket used to cover all the LA Kings games, and he was one of the first guys that said to me, "Tom, you got to be on TV." Like, he wanted me to get into acting. I had a couple people say that to me. An old teammate of mine, I think somebody said it on the show, Jerry Gillis, is a stuntman. I'm going to try to get him on our Full Change podcast. He's a stuntman out in Hollywood. I've seen some pictures of him and everything. What a good guy he was, too. I know I've said this so many times, but that 80-81 team is filled with just like good team guys that just like never quit on each other. And like go to the extreme of those like guys in Toronto. We would never do that, our team. We pulled together so much, even if we were like, we'd go behind the scenes maybe and say something, but I don't even remember much of that. It was just team guys would make mistakes. And if a guy made a mistake, it wasn't guys wouldn't pick on him. They more go back him up, say, oh, it's okay. Hey, you're a big part of our team. He made a mistake. And that was it with us too. We weren't afraid of making mistakes. I remember we were, those games, we were down 3-1 game 2, came back to make it 3-2. We're down 4-2. We came back to make it 4-4. And then we just kept, aggression. I don't know. We got an aggression. We were like, I guess we were so tired. We didn't want to get back down the other end. So we just kept on keeping the puck in the offensive zone. And I said, looking at the videos, I don't think we said something to each other, but it was more that mentality. Screw it, we're going for it. Because in a 4-4 game, you think, okay, you pull back a little bit, but no, we were going for it. I think we were so confident in ourselves individually and as a team that, go for it. If you make a mistake, so what? We'll cover up for it. If they score, then we'll just go get another goal. So we were. That's the game. Dave Maloney got his knee whacked up. They had to take him off the stretcher. Man, I love that team. Oh my God. Let's see here. JD helped Drury get ready to become. Yeah. The story goes, I think it's been told before, that Drury. So when they fired JD and Jeff Gorton, they were going to go to Drury and make him interim GM, and I think make Glenn Sather interim president. He's already working in the organization, anyways. But apparently, Drury said to them, "No." He said, "I'm qualified to be GM and president, and there's no interim tag. I want to be full time," which is pretty. You've never been the GM before, and again, everybody was saying how great he was at, but again, he'd never done it before, so that was pretty ballsy by him to do that, especially to Mr. Dolan. Right? It's like because he's got a little temper himself. So I'm assuming he said it the proper way. And again, if you say it the proper way, I would be impressed by somebody that would say that would have the courage to really believe in himself. And he's been fantastic, I think. Again, I didn't necessarily agree. We talked about this. He was put such in a bad spot with Kane last year because Kane's come up publicly says he wants to play for the Rangers. Okay, so if you don't go get him and then you don't win, everybody's going to say, well, Kane wanted to play for you to play. Obviously they knew he was hurt. But, you got to go do that. And Tarasenko, again, the problem with those big moves like that at the trade deadline is that it really changes the team a lot. So we talked about this before too. So there's obviously 2 players that were in the top 6 forwards that got bumped down so that those 2 guys could make, because they have to be top 6 forwards. They have to get power play time. You don't get those players if you're going to play them as penalty killers or something. So that it seemed like that really changed the dynamic of the team. Again, I wasn't in the locker room, but although I have heard more stuff, I think Susan said it too, where Susan Brooks, that Gallant was really hard on Panarin, which I don't know. And again, the game has changed, right? A lot of coaches were hard on players in the past. I mean, Scott, stories about Scotty Bowman, obviously Hitchcock, Babcock, Keenan, like you fought through it. Again, I've talked about this too, where it was really eye-opening for me when we had the podcast with Mike Allison, where he talked about how he contemplated suicide because of the way Herb Brooks was treating him. Because again, my view with Herb Brooks was that it was good. He told me what to do. I did it. I got played all the time. But then back to he benched Ron Greshner. He benched Dave Maloney for the game. Like that game, that 84 series, those guys in 5 games only played 2 games. They missed the second, third, and fourth games. And though I look back, whoa, Dave was captain of the team. Barry was at that point, but Dave had been captain of the team, Ron, with his career. So, again, I had my view, and I guess from a distance looking back at it, I forgot about all that stuff. So Herb was, again, I do look back at it now, again, because of Mike, I start thinking about things that happened with me where he shot a puck in my head. He'd come down, kick me in the ass on the bench and tell me to get the F out there. And I don't know. I guess I was that mudhead that just was oblivious to it. I got to play. That's all that mattered to me. So, but I think part of it was too, it's how you reacted to him. Like he came, I told this, where he came to me one time, we were all at the bar, the pub in Rye, New York, and guys would hide their cars. So because they knew Herb would come by and look for the cars. Of course, like an idiot, I would park mine right in front of the bar just to prove a point. And he came to me one time. He goes, he says, I drove by there at 2:00. Your car was there. I drove by at 4:00. Your car was still there. So of course I said, well, if you drove by at 6:00, it still would have been there. And he turned and walked away. I think that was the thing. Like it showed in the movie too, like with the Jim Craig, the goalie, where he wouldn't fill out that questionnaire. And I think Herb kind of liked it. And in fact, he say at one point, he went to knock on his door and I think Jim Craig said, "Listen, you want me to fill it out? I'll fill it out." And Herb said, "No, you already did." And he threw it in the garbage. So I think what he got from it was that Craig had that fight in him still. That he wasn't going to give in, do it just because Herbie wanted to do it. He wasn't going to do it. So he was definitely like that. All right, what do we got going on today? Okay, so we're going down to Madison Square Garden today for the viewing party. That'll be fun. I'll enjoy that. We'll be out there. Gresh and I are doing a bunch of stuff before the game and in the first period, so we'll head out there and get home for the third period of the game. Past Gresh's bedtime. Be a blast, though. I don't know exactly what we're doing. The great Jackie Piazza. Jackie D. Piazza. She's what I can't remember her last name. Just talked to her this morning, actually, too. So I'm going to go with the close game. I'm going to go 2-1 game for the Rangers. Shesterkin is going to play unbelievable. I just think that Carolina has figured out some stuff with the Rangers, how to shut them down, especially those big four guys, Trocheck, Panarin, Kreider, and Zibanejad. And again, it's on the road, so that line change, it's not everything, but it does help Carolina. But I just think I just think Shesterkin's going to be unbelievable. He's got that. He's been unbelievable. I think like the last game, maybe not as good, but he will do well. And it'll be a great game to watch. It's going to be up and down, a lot of scoring opportunities. There's going to be some controversial stuff too. Like, Carolina, there's no wallflowers. What is that? There are no, yeah, well, I don't know. 5-0. I don't know where they're having us today, 5-0. I think there's a bunch of like stuff, particularly like we get there at 6:00 and the game doesn't start till 7. So they've got us to do some stuff before the game. And then, they do things like fan of the game where you give out a stick and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of fun, I do like going to the Garden. I'm really looking forward to going to the Garden when the game's on the road, right? Watching it on the big screen. It'll be cool. Yeah, they have to play. Hold on, let me get a statement here by Peter Schaefer. Yeah, they have to play hard. Like that first game, remember? And they moved the puck around. They've been off for a week too, which is kind of surprising. They played so well. Like it was like hard too. Like that one power play goal where Kreider made that backhand pass to Zibanejad, I think it was, for the one timer, and they scored. Like they have to play with that zip. Like it's like no waiting. Like Panarin, you got a chance to shoot. Trocheck had been fantastic, doing everything in their face, playing gritty and everything too. He's got to continue to do that. It's human nature. You're up 3-0. As much as you want to say, okay, we need to finish it off, we can't let it back in the series. You can say that, but it's human nature to win the way they were winning. You have to pay attention to detail. You have to, every shift you got to be focused in on it. And then sometimes, okay, then you take a little break. You say, okay, well, I'll just cheat a little bit here. I'll try to make a move here at the blue line instead of doing what you've been doing all along. Again, it's human nature. It's not like you're bad players. Hopefully, they've had a couple of days off here, a couple of practices probably, where they'll say, okay, they watch some video and say, guys, here's what we need to play. So again, knowing that if they've never done it before, they maybe question themselves. I don't know if we can do this, but they have done it. Again, listen, the 3 games that they won all could have gone the other way. The first game, Carolina, hit 2 or 3 posts, overtime games. So this is a great series. I hate to say it, but I think a lot of people, including myself, knew that it was going to be close games all the time. Again, the last one was not the best game for the Rangers, so it becomes a 4-1 game. But Shesterkin is going to be the difference. He's always going to be the difference maker. They've got the goal scoring. They just got to. And power play is important. If you can get another shorthanded goal, that'd be great. But I saw a stat at 5-on-5. The Rangers are -2. It's been a power play and penalty killing that's pushed them over the top. But again, that's a little bit skewed too because you've got 1-goal games and all of a sudden you get the 3-goal game. So I agree with you. I love it too. I think D'Angelo's a pain in the rear end. But you know what though? It's that doesn't help them win. I hear you. I'd love the same thing. But that it doesn't help Rempe either. Like fighting D'Angelo doesn't do anything for him because it's what if that chance wouldn't happen? What if D'Angelo won or got some good punches in? Like it's a no-win prop. That kind of thing is a no-win proposition for Rempe. He should beat him up and should beat him up bad. If he doesn't, then everybody's like, "Oh, well, that's a good job by D'Angelo, like sticking in there, right?" There's no advantage for Rempe to do it. In fact, I would say to him, "Listen, you know what? We're not fighting here in the playoffs. Next year, when I get a chance, if I take a 5-minute penalty, if I get suspended, I'm going to get you. That's how you handle it because there's no advantage." Sue said, "Brooks, yes, we will see you there. I knew you'd be there." How's it working? I wonder if they go to the season ticket holders and say, "Listen, Want to go? That's interesting. This round of playoffs have been pretty good. Yeah, good hockey. Oh man, the Colorado coming back, Boston coming back. The series, it shouldn't have been a surprise, but the Vancouver Edmonton series, same old problem for Edmonton. It's goaltending, man. What a shame. What was it, like 8th or 9th year for Connor McDavid? I think they would try something to have two great players like that, and they never get a chance to win. It just, again, it's so much, and again, it's different nowadays with the cap money, so they take up so much of the cap. I haven't heard much about Kane, how he's been playing out there. When he first got there. So yeah, I never liked that move. There's another, I don't know, seems like bad guy, like bad team guy. It's about him all the time. Yep. Okay, so here's the thing, though. Tonight Carolina's going to get their chances. That's just, they're a good team. Rangers are not a bad team defensively, but they're more designed to be a run and gun team. That doesn't mean they can't play good defensively. I saw something somewhere online that they put Trouba back with Miller, at least at practice yesterday. I think that's when I heard about it. Now, that doesn't mean they're playing together tonight, but they got to get more out of Trouba. I don't know what's going on where he just seems like he's, I don't know if he's hurt or whatever. It just doesn't seem he had like that commanding presence out there, although when he tried to elbow that one guy, oh, jeez. And the view, it was funny. Do you watch the video? There's a woman sitting on the glass there, and right when Trouba's like looked like his face went right into the glass, and she was just petrified. Because here's this guy come flying at her. He launched himself too, and she must have been thinking, "Is he coming through the glass?" Oh, that was funny to watch. If you get a chance, go watch on YouTube where she's sitting in the glass there. I think she had a white Ranger jersey on too. Yeah, nice hard open. Yep. Yeah, I agree. You're saying go back to D'Angelo and yeah. And I hear you totally, Keith. You're right. The hard part for him is, though, he's a target right now for the referees. First of all, he's such a big guy. His reputation, like there was a few games ago where one of the referees was trying to lecture him. I mean, if I was a coach, don't lecture my players. It's not your job as a referee. Your job is to call penalties and do all the things the referee does. It's not to lecture players. It's a bad luck for the player. Like some referees, like what am I, like 12 years old? Rempe is going to be okay. He's got again, it's the whole big effect, right? He comes in the league, nobody knows who he is. He comes in the league, gets on all these fights, the crowd's going crazy at Madison Square Garden. That'll settle down eventually, and he can still. I think he's a good player. He can be maybe more, but he can at least be a third line guy. I think still be that physical presence. The whole fighting thing, it's just. I hope he doesn't just become a fighter because I just don't think he's a place for the game anymore like that. He won't get played if he needs to learn the game better, which he will. I think he's only 21 years old, and to be more of a player that fights instead of a fighter that plays. So it's yeah. I don't remember the last change. Yeah, and I think he's only played like 4 or 5 minutes every game, right? And he can't, and that's not his fault at all. His playoff games are tight. You're right with the change. Carolina can put who they want against him. Yeah, he's. I'd love to see him play too because he is that physical presence. But it's just I don't know if there's room to have a guy only play 4 or 5 minutes in a game 6 on the road where you've got to have everybody sharp all the time. So you need to try to get your fourth line or all 4 lines into the game. So they have that energy level because the energy level has got to be going all the time. You can't just rely on those big 4 guys. Then they're not. Again, I hope they come. I have total confidence in those guys. I love them as players, those 4 guys, but you can't have them just show up and be average players. They really need to make a difference. Power play, regular shifts, killing penalties, like Zibanejad and Kreider killing penalties. Like they really make the power play change their game. They have to be careful they don't get scored on. Carolina has to be careful they don't get scored on again on the power play. And that when you have those 2 guys killing penalties, you really have to, as a coach, you got to make sure you have the right player. Maybe not all the players you'd want to have on the ice because you need to make sure you got some good defensive players or at least good 2-way players that can counteract Kreider and Zibanejad. So it really changes. Those guys doing well, killing penalties, excuse me, really changes the way the other team's power play goes. So they talk about Carolina not scoring many goals in the power play. But a big part of it was I thought that they really had to, again, be careful they didn't get scored on. Say we're getting scored on. So it would be a good game tonight. So again, I really, again, this, and again, just so you as fans, you need to be prepared. I think Carolina is going to get good quality chances. They're a good team. They're on a roll now. They've made some changes. Now it'll be interesting to see what Lavalette does, what he changes. Does he change lines at all? I don't see him changing the matchups. Again, maybe he'll change something with the defenseman to get Trouba going more. But I would more say if I'm the coach, I don't think it's about making changes. It's about saying, particularly those big four guys, just go back and play the way you played the first 3 games, right? That you guys dominated. Power plays you dominated. Penalty killing you dominated. We just need you to play that way. Like, to make a bunch of changes. Maybe there's small little changes you do, but I think the Rangers have shown they're good enough. Just they have to play good enough. That's where I think sometimes where the coaches get too much credit and the coaches get too much blame. Too much credit when they win, too much blame when they lose. I don't know why I'm on that Jim Montgomery show. I think watching that last game where he's pretending he was diving in the bench, putting on this big act, like, oh God, that was embarrassing. An NHL coach acting like that. Scoring a goal, first goal would help. There's no question about that. I was there in that building 2 years ago when they played in the playoffs, and man, it's played loud. There's a lot of loud buildings too. Pittsburgh was loud. I don't know if it's going to, I hear what you're saying, Peter. I don't know if it quiets it necessarily, but again, that's first goal means a lot because now the other team has to change the way they play a little. I mean, maybe not right away, but if you keep that 1-goal lead as the game goes on, or even get a 2-goal lead, which would be fantastic, now the team has to play differently, right? Like Carolina is more that grinded out team, although they do have Gensel now, so they've got more talent there. But was it Kuznetsov was doing the waving the arms thing too? Oh, I kind of guy like Brindamore on the bench. Maybe he'd go into it like, stop it. Jeez. So, all right. We're at an hour. We're leaving at 4:30 with Mr. Greshner. Big Nose Greshner to go down to Madison Square Garden. We'll see everybody there tonight. Make sure you come by and say hello. I'm assuming we're doing a lot of stuff, so we'll be on the big screen where we're on. So the big, shave my head. Get rid of the hair that's there. It's not the hair that's there. Like this thing now where when I go to these clinics and everything, I go to these kids and I haven't met them before I go there. And I pretend I'm really mad at them. I say, listen, I'm not happy with you at all. And they're all, the mothers and fathers and the kids are all looking at me and they go, God, what do you do? And I say to them, listen, you got all that hair in your head and I got nothing. And they get that sigh of relief. They're like, okay, I thought he was mad. Remember, Tom, you remember Wayne Dillon. I think he played with you as a Ranger. Wayne Dillon. I remember Wayne Dillon. Did I play with him? I can't remember. There's some guys I played with. I've forgotten about. I watched old videos. Was this guy was it Jack Hughes or John Hughes that played with us? I think he came up in the LA series. I'd forgotten all about him. I felt terrible. He didn't play during the regular season, but we came up and played with us. Played well too. He's a good guy. All right, everybody. We'll see everybody at Madison Square Gardens tonight. Again, so it's Thursday now, so we'll see everybody on. Looks like the show, the Friday show, is just not working because again, it's not Molly's fault. She's another job. So we'll see everybody on Monday again with Mark Puttenvink. Again, everybody take care of themselves. 988 shoulder check, help other people out. It's again, the more you're out in public, you see all the mental health issues that are out there, and how we can help people. Just reaching out to them, making sure they're okay. Everybody have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you on Monday.